Welcome to the Nightcap. It's your girl, Carolina Sanchez, and tonight's episode is not safe for work. We're talking sex. All we hear about is how great it is in our 20s and our 30s, but what's it like after our 40s? Ooh, I'm gonna get into it, but first I need a stiff drink, and my guy Hal's got just the thing.
How are you, Carolina?
I'm great, how are you?
Doing wonderful. So this is our Teeling Wonders of Wood, aged in Portuguese oak for you. Nice little single pot, still at 100 proof.
Oh, you're gonna have to teach me a thing or two about this, because normally I just have cocktails, but now we're getting stiff. And I've got the people on the couch who are getting loose to talk about sex over 40. Let's get into it.
Yeah, what's up for a nightcap? Chill, you know, kick back.
All right, let's get into it with my friends, shall we? We've got Parrish in the building. We've got Scott. We've got Rosa. And we've got Franklin. All right, so is sex better after 40?
Oh, God, yeah.
Absolutely. Oh, God, yeah.
Definitely, definitely.
Rosa, you're quiet. You missed sex in your 20s or something?
No, I mean, I definitely think it gets a lot better with experience.
With experience.
Experiencing this.
So
Man.
what was sex like when you were in your 20s?
Well, it was hard to get, for one.
Oh.
First, it was hard to get. But
Hey, keeping it honest, that's what I like.
It was hard to get, but even when you did, it was more about ego. It was more about ego. And a lot of times those experiences didn't go well for neither party involved, you know.
Yeah.
It wasn't good for either party.
I did not have that experience. It was not hard to get when I was young, but
Okay.
but it was still it was all ego.
Yeah.
You know. But
So
it was,
what do you mean by it was all ego?
you got to run through positions. It's like these are the 6 porn star positions. I need to check off the
Check off
list
the
to make
list.
sure that everyone thinks I'm badass as a lover, and that we're whatever. It's ego. You know, like how
Right.
badass do I look doing this? Am I going to impress her?
Her.
You know.
Where she'll
as
go and
opposed-
tell her friends how good I was.
Because you flipped her this way,
Girl,
you
I
did it
flipped
this
it
way, you did it the other way.
You're
Yeah.
doing it for hours.
Okay.
You know,
Yeah.
she,
Too many-
All right,
too many-
Rosa,
too many
Parrish,
things.
I'm hearing the fellas. What was y'all's experience, and do you concur with?
My experience in my 20s, I was religious at that time. I was in a religion that taught you're not supposed to do anything spicy, no oral pleasure, no anal pleasure, no porn. And I felt trapped because I didn't know it, but I've always been this sexual goddess consciousness, but it was conflicting in the religion I was in. So I felt trapped in horniness all the time in my 20s.
So what about your 30s?
That's when I let it out.
Okay. Rosa, what about you?
For me, I think there's a difference too between male and female at a younger age, because I think for them, like they said, it's more ego driven, and it's more. I know he mentioned about a quantity, right? For females, it wasn't. I don't think we view it from that same standpoint. It definitely wasn't about quantity for me, but I think I was a little bit more shy when it came to sex at that point. And when you get older, you kind of just, you let it out. And you're not afraid to talk about it. You're not afraid to speak up for what you want when it comes to sexual pleasure. But I wasn't like that in my 20s, no. I was afraid.
in today's time, women are more sexually liberated now than they've ever been at any time in history.
Right.
In my 20s, women they wanted to be virgins. They didn't want anyone to know. When I say it was hard, it's because women, they were not having sex like that. It was a taboo. It was a taboo. And even today, men look at a woman's past the way a woman looks at a man's future when they're choosing.
What do you mean by that?
Oh, God, how can I say this? Men typically don't like a woman who has had a lot of men.
If she's got a high body
If she
count,
got a high body count.
does it
And
matter
women-
to you?
Does it matter to me? I don't ask those questions.
You don't ask us. You don't want to know what you
I
don't
don't-
want
I
to
don't-
know.
yeah, I don't wanna know what I don't
Scott,
know.
what
I
about
don't
you?
ask those
Does it matter to
questions.
you if they have a high body count?
I don't think about it. It's the past. How connected am I to this person? You know, do I love this person like crazy? You know, is the sex intimate and connected and hot, and you know, are there no limits?
But it does matter though. If you're dealing with a woman who's had a lot of sexual partners, and obviously none of those relationships panned out to maybe what she wants, that comes with some types of trauma.
So when you went through that period where you said it was all about the quantity,
Yeah.
that was trauma that was collected by the same amount of, I agree with what you're
Yeah.
saying. Anytime you're opening up yourself to sexual energy, it's not just your genitals. So you're opening up to everything, and men just aren't aware that that same trauma that you don't like in the woman because she has a high body count, but you're gonna hit it, she's a reflection.
That's true, but I think that when it comes to men's sexual experience and women's sexual experience, it's just different on an emotional level. It's just different.
I think it's
Most
a wicked
women,
double
most
standard,
women don't.
man.
Most women
It
won't
is.
out sleep with you without some kind of emotional connection. Men, we don't need any of that. We don't need any of that.
But that's where the trauma happens, because you don't need it, and you dive into every pussy, not you specifically. The reasons why you don't want that woman for anything more than sex, you're taking that on. You don't just dip in it and dip out. You take it with you.
I understand. I can get that. I can accept that.
All right, I'll let you ponder that, and I'll let you stay right there because we'll be right back. Welcome back to the Nightcap. We've been talking about seasoned sex, what it's like after 40, and we actually found this interesting TikTok that touches on what Rosa spoke about earlier. Check it out.
Yeah. So this is a PSA for all the men and women out there. Those women in their 40s are Gen X women. The Gen X women right now, in our prime, sexual prime, prime's not giving up, prime's knowing what we want, knowing how to express it. I guarantee you a good time. I mean, the more you know.
The more you know. All right, here to unpack, we got Parrish, Scott, Rosa, and Franklin. Rosa, this is what you were saying earlier, that you know a lot more, you've experienced more. Did she nail it?
Yeah, I think she definitely did, because in my 20s, I was a lot more, well, I was afraid to even get naked, for one, because it just, being from a small country town, sex was just taboo if you weren't married, and so I think when you get older, though, and you start to experience a little bit more, then it wasn't as difficult for me to have those conversations about it and to maybe experiment a little bit more and not be shy about it. And so I think the best sex comes, though, when you have that conversation beforehand and you get that out the way. Like,
What do you mean? Like, what kind of conversation?
because a lot of people don't talk about what they like and don't like, or like what's off limits.
They just jump into bed
Right.
and don't have a discussion.
I'm way more comfortable discussing it beforehand. And I'm like, look, you do just about anything, just don't hit me, bite me, or spit on me, or
bite
put
me,
drugs
or
in my
spit
butt.
on me. Okay, hello.
Spit's almost always required, though.
Not like,
The TikTok video reiterated what I said earlier. Women are just more sexually liberated today than they have ever been in history, and I also think there's good points to that, and there could possibly be some bad points to that. Sex is it's a bonding thing, and I truly believe that women have a harder time not having that bond with someone to have sex with than men.
Maybe, ladies, do you agree with that? Is it
it's
always
just
a
been in
bond
my
when you have
experience.
sex?
No, and as you said, you went in with it. It depends on what your intention is, because there are more women with that liberated idea about their sexual power that are going in it with they figured it out, like, oh, I don't have to have a baby or be somebody's wife or girlfriend. I can just have as many orgasms as I want with somebody who appreciates my body. I'm okay with that too. Just because women are out there wanting the same pleasure men want it without all the heaviness doesn't mean we're doing it to everybody. It doesn't mean that we're doing it recklessly. We're doing it with passion, with thought. Women are going to workshops now. They're steaming, they're doing all the things. They're conscious,
it's a yoni,
yes.
man.
The yoni.
I own one, so I call it what I like. But I do want the brothers to know, because I also see with that liberation that the women talk about, at the same time, they'll put up the same TikTok memes of them just sitting there and the idea of a man fumbling because he can't find her clit. It's like, turn on the lights, spread your legs, and show him where it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
teach
like
'em.
why make fun of the man after you leave when he's really there to please you? That's what most men want to do, is please us.
And Scott, you've been nodding the entire time.
Well,
that
no, I
Parrish
think
has been
it's so
talking.
true, and I think one of the other interesting things is, and maybe somewhat antithetical to what Frank was saying, is like I think the women are infinitely more sexually liberated, as discussed. We get that, and I think men are the ones that are getting their hearts crushed, like that. This whole Gen X thing. We're talking Gen X sex,
That's what I'm
and
talking
it's like,
about.
and it's like,
Yes.
it's a lot of guys are out there, and they're like, we had sex, and I was really connected to her, and then she was like, no, I just wanted your dick, dude, and it was like, I love that. I love the fact that it's dudes that are all like crushed down. I
Yeah.
mean, I don't mean that like that they're hurt, but
Right.
it's a total reversal of what we're used to.
Does it feel
think
weird
about it
being
like-
used? I'm sorry, Rosa, go ahead.
I think about it like now it's almost like if you think of she's got to have it, well, I could appreciate certain things that I like in a certain individual, but not have to be in a big relationship with you or anything like that now. So
So is it easier to be like, to find friends with benefits if you're
I
not
think
in a
definitely
committed
now,
relationship?
especially now that I'm older. Initially, no, but it may be something like certain qualities that I like in that person, or just the bond that we have, or our chemistry. But just as a whole, I'm not wanting to really date them. So
You
that's
just
the
want the
difference
pleasure.
for me now. Yeah.
You want the pleasure. Ain't nothing wrong
Those
with
type
that.
of
Come on.
relationships aren't, they're not producing relationships. They're not producing
We're
families.
talking about sex, baby. We're
I
not
know.
talking about
I
relationships.
know.
Producing
Just
families and
sex.
Yeah.
man.
I get it.
We're going to continue this conversation, all right? So you stay right there. We'll be right back.
Tomorrow on the Nightcap.
Carolina might be out, but it's girls' night in.
If I have a clitoral orgasm, it's a wrap. I probably destroyed something, a pillowcase is missing, something has happened.
That's tomorrow at 11:30 on Fox 26.
Welcome back to the Nightcap. We've been talking about sex over 40, and earlier I got to speak with the founder of Fallowfill, William Moore. Check it out. Thanks for joining me, William.
Hi there, how are you?
I'm great. I'm not as great as you. You're out there on the yacht living your best life. So for
Okay.
people who don't know what Fallowfill is, can you give us some insight?
Yeah, so Fallowfill is a non-invasive penile growth enhancement procedure that uses hyaluronic acid, which is a very natural substance in the human body. We make the penis girthier, and the nice thing about it is it feels natural, but it is 100% reversible if anything happens and we want to reverse it.
Reversible. So is this like something that you inject into the penis?
So we're using a hyaluronic acid dermal filler that's FDA cleared to be used in the cheeks, the nasolabial folds, the lips. Only we devised a way to inject it into the penis so that it gives girth and it gives a reliable, symmetrical, aesthetically appealing outcome. And we have a post-care program that makes the injection that we do in the clinic stay in place as the procedure heals. So the combination of our injection technique and our post-care is what sets us apart from other penile growth enhancement procedures.
Wow. Okay, so the customers that are coming in, are they older? Are they younger? Is it across the board?
We have patients that come in from the early 20s. My oldest patient that I've treated is age 85.
Wow.
But I would say that the majority of our patients fall somewhere between the age of 30 and 50. I've got everything from concrete pours, roofers to business owners. We have it across the board, large demographics.
What's wild to me is that when you hear about men and their insecurities with their penises, it's typically the length. It's not necessarily the girth. Do you find that girth is actually helping them in their sex lives?
That's interesting because most women report that the length is not as important as the girth. And the reason for that is nerves and sensories, they feel better on a stretch. So when the vaginal opening is stretched, it should give more pleasure for the female. A long penis can hit too deep and can cause some pain in the vaginal canal. So I think that girth is most important for sex.
All right, so if somebody's listening and they want to know more about the Fallowfill, how do they get more details? How do they get that help that they may desperately need?
So if they go to www.fallowfill, PHALLOFILL.com, they're going to get to our website. As soon as you sign up and try to receive information on our website, you're going to get an automatic text message back. We're going to have a live person on the text message with you within minutes. And we have this 7 days a week from about 8 a.m. until usually about 10 p.m. We have a live agent available to answer any questions.
And William, one last question before I let you go. I know everyone is probably curious about the pricing. So how much would this run someone?
Well, it depends on how much girth you want to gauge. So for instance, I could have someone that has a 5-inch penis that wants to get to 6 inches, but his penis is 7 inches long. That's going to require more filler than the patient who has a 5-inch penis that wants to get to 6 inches that has a 5-inch penis, because it's more surface area to cover. But on average, somewhere between $6,000 and $12,000 is what they can expect to spend for the full girth enhancement procedure.
Well, William Moore, founder of Fallow Phil, thank you so much for your time. And listen, if they want to check out what you've brought to the world, they can go to fallowphil.com. Well, that yacht life sure does look good. But I'm here on the couch with my friends. We've got Parrish, we've got Scott, we've got Rosa and Franklin. All right, so we were just talking about how he provides fillers for girth. Do you find that men shrink with age and need some sort of help?
I've had the experience of having a lover that I felt that he felt more confident when he had a cock ring on. And I was loving his confidence and the effort that he put into it with the confidence. But I do feel that it's not an age thing, because in my 30s, I wasn't interested in men my age. I only dated men that were in their later 40s or early 50s.
Wow.
And those were some of the best lovers of my life. One of the best lovers, you know, gave me sex 3 times a day, every day, anal pleasure, exploratory, everything. And he was like 12 years older than I was.
And Frank, you're over there like...
Definitely. At 51, I've had partners from 25 up until my age. And how good it is really depends on the connection I have with that person.
That bond and connection.
That person. I've always been well endowed, and I've had some terrible sex. You know, it's not all about that. I've had some wonderful sex. Now it's more about the quality of the person I'm with, other than the quantity.
All right, so quality sex, right?
Quality sex.
Thank y'all
Quality
so much.
sex.
Appreciate y'all sharing.
Quality sex.
And apparently, you know, sex gets better with age, and apparently so does whiskey. And I'm going behind the bar coming up next with my guy Hal, who's going to teach me a thing or two. So you stay right there. Welcome back to the Nightcap. We've been talking about how sex can get better with age, but so does whiskey. And I'm behind the bar now with my guy Hal Brock with Teeling Whiskey. And you're here to do what, baby? Back that glass up! All right, like, I love whiskey, but I have no idea why I love whiskey. So you're here to teach me.
So just like sex, once you get a little older, you can kind of appreciate the finer things. But whiskey, you kind of need to know how to do it, right? So everybody will generally think about whiskey as like taking shots when you're 19, and that's cute and all, but not what we're doing, right?
No.
So we're gonna savor this. So a lot of people don't know how to taste whiskey properly. So like, what you wanna do is you wanna bring it up to your nose, but leave your mouth open. A lot of what you taste actually happens in the nose.
Bring it up to your
and
nose,
so we
but
don't
leave
want to
your mouth
burn it.
open.
You're just smelling, right? So you get the aromas, you get some kind of creamy, a little bit of nuttiness, a little bit of oakiness. You definitely get some kind of dark red fruits on this particular one. But we're gonna take 2 sips here. So your first sip is gonna be what I call the Listerine sip. So you're kind of scraping your mouth of your own saliva, whatever you drank, whatever you ate beforehand, right?
Okay.
So first sip. You get the alcohol. We are at 100 proof, non-chill filtered.
Wow.
This is from Teeling, little small batch whiskey coming out of Dublin, Ireland. Don't be scared. This is just the first sip, so you're getting used to it. Listerine burns a little too, right?
I love how this all goes with sexual innuendos. Don't be scared.
Hey,
just getting into it.
Try everything twice. You might have not liked it the first time for nothing. But your second sip, you want to go ahead and make that a little bigger one, and I'll set that right on the middle of my tongue and just let it fall off the sides and hang out. And that's where the candy's going to get there.
Okay.
So you can really get the richness. So do it.
Okay.
You get that buttery texture because we're non-chill filtered, so all that beauty that came out of the barrel is still in it. And this particular one is a limited release, so this came out just about a month ago. You can get it today. When it's gone, but this is all in Portuguese oak. Portuguese oak is generally used for wines.
Oh.
So even the guy that Alex Chasko, our master distiller and master blender, bought these casks from was like, you shouldn't do this. And he was like, try me. So he did, right?
He done did it.
And it turned out great. So this is
Yes,
about
this is
7 years
delicious.
old. A mix of malted and unmalted, which is a uniquely Irish style. And so we are really trying to bring that revival of the classic Irish whiskeys back with kind of a modern twist.
All right,
But
so
yeah.
does whiskey get better with age?
Depends. You can cook a whiskey if you're aging for like 20 years in Kentucky. In Ireland, you can age it for a lot longer because you have a cooler climate, and so you're getting a little less interaction with that cask. So I would say, just like they were saying, it gets really great, and then sometimes it falls off.
Oh, and sometimes it falls off. All right, y'all come on in here. Listen, I think anything with experience, right? You experience in tasting whiskey, it gets
You just
better.
gotta know what you like.
Experience with sex, it gets better, right?
Right.
It's all about that communication and connection, all right? Well, thank y'all so much for joining us here on the Nightcap. We'll see you guys next time. Cheers.
Slanja.